I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's another edition of the old. Why are we? What's going on? I don't know why it's not. We're not going full screen here. I don't know, Jim Moore. There we go. We fixed it. Here we go. It's a Monday morning of the Daily Puck Drop. I almost said Old Crimson. It's your daily sports podcast here, as we are a well-oiled machine after having a few days off, as you can tell. Coming up on the show today, Jim Moore, the go-to guy, is here. Michael-Shawn Dugar, the Dugar Report, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. He stops on by as we talk Seahawks. We'll get to the Seahawks. We'll get to the Lane Kiffin mess. We'll get to did Jedd Fisch blow his opportunity on this day? Hey, what the puck? We will cover it all here on a Monday. First show since we took off there on Wednesday. Happy post-Thanksgiving to everyone. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful time on Thursday with family and friends, and Friday and a great weekend there of football and sports. As always, we come via the Limback Lumber Studios. Contractors, do-it-yourselfers, they're going to take care of you there at Limback Lumber. Why? Well, because they're experts and they're friendly, and they've been doing it since 1930. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them at limbacklumber.com. Visit the show and me on social media, Puck Sports, everywhere except for TikTok, which is Puck_sports. And please, 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 the holidays are here. Gift a Puck's Posse membership to a family, a member, or a friend. Nothing screams that you love someone like putting a Puck's Posse membership in their stocking stuffer. You can go to pucksports.com and sign up to become a member today. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Mr. Santa Claus. In fact, he may be playing Santa Claus at a mall near you in Bend, Oregon. He did last year. Will he do it again? It is Jim Moore, the go-to guy, and he's brought to you by an army of broadcasters. Are we doing Santa Claus again?
I was not asked back. I don't know how I should feel about that. It's the same company that runs the concerts that does the Santa Claus thing, and probably the article I wrote on Substack about complaining about my wife getting fired for having one margarita before a company meeting. Yeah. Probably didn't go well with.
Well, we have our answer why you were not invited back, and we can blame Kathy Moore one more time for having a fishbowl margarita before going to work.
I don't think it was the way I said ho 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 and Merry Christmas.
No, it was.
I don't think it was that. I don't think
it was the Jack Daniels on your breath when you asked little Timmy what he wanted for Christmas.
I got to be honest, though, Santa was nicer to the Beaver fans down here than he was to the Duck fans. I mean, I had Duck fan kids asking, Santa, can we have the Ducks win the national championship? That's all I want for Christmas.
What did you say when they asked?
Sonny, Santa can do a lot of things, but Santa doesn't want the Ducks to win the national championship. Okay?
Santa's taking the Buckeyes in the -6.5 against your Ducks. What is 6.5, Santa?
A little kid sit on my lap in orange and black outfit, and he'd be like, "Go Beavs, Santa," and I'd like, "Hey, go Beavs, man, go Beavs."
And then you lean
Santa
over.
Loves that chainsaw.
Yeah, you lean over and go, "You want a chainsaw for Christmas?"
They didn't have much of an opportunity to get that chainsaw out on Saturday.
Yeah, with the Cougars took the chainsaw to them, Jim.
Yes, they sure did. Hey, Puck, I've written new ads today. You ready for this?
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, Brotherton Cadillac in Shoreline, Brotherton Cadillac and Brotherton Buick and GMC in Renton is a family-owned dealership with deep roots in the community. Brotherton Auto is more than just a place to buy a car. They'll be your automotive partner for life. Stop by their dealerships in Renton or Shoreline, or visit brothertonauto.com and say hello and go Cougs to Brad Brotherton while you're there. You can also say go Cougs to Matt Baker. He's the owner of the Angry Beaver in Greenwood, where you'll get the ultimate sports bar experience, all kinds of beer on tap. And you can also get Old Crimson there for $5 a can at the Angry Beaver in Greenwood. I'm already butchering the new damn ads. Matt doesn't care. You can get smoked brisket sandwich in town. Check it out at angrybeaver.com. And Brian Turner, we all know him. Clean Streak in Oak Harbor and Bright Owl Lighting. Thanksgiving's over. It's time to get your Christmas lights up. Don't do it yourself. You might die. You'll have crooked lights and you'll have tangled cords, ladders to deal with. Why would you want to do that when you can have the professional crew, Brian Turner at brightowllighting.com? For a free estimate, give them a call at 360-675-2034.
You nailed it. Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
I saw Brad Brotherton. He has a commercial up here. I think it was during the Cougar game.
Was it?
On the CW network? Yeah. Brad, you can send us that commercial. We'd love to run it for you. Won't even charge you for it, Brad. Just come on. It's like a 15-second end. Good looking guy. Old Brad Brotherton.
He's in good shape. I'll talk to him about that and see if we can get that.
Yeah, run it on there. As I was watching the Cougs pound the Beavs this weekend, taking out all of our frustration on the earlier loss of the season. So that was good. Good there for the Cougs. It was a perfect cap there of the regular season. We'll get into that a little bit later in the program. Of course, we got Old Crimson coming up tomorrow, so we'll talk a lot of Cougs. We've got Seahawks. We got to start off with the Seahawks. We'll get to that. The Lane Kiffin mess. I mean, Jesus. What a disaster that whole Lane Kiffin thing is, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't understand. It's like when Kalen DeBoer left Washington to go to Alabama. I mean, you can make more sense of that than what Kiffin did, but DeBoer proved that you could win a national championship at Washington. They were in the national championship game, but it's possible to get it done in Seattle. And Lane Kiffin's proving you can do it in Oxford, Mississippi too, and you don't have the expectations that you're going to have when you go to LSU like DeBoer has now in Alabama. I don't understand what motivates people sometimes. Maybe I'm not that type of person. I've never been that competitive. I've never, reached for the highest rung on the ladder. I don't get that. I don't know why he couldn't have been happy at Ole Miss where he's beloved and he's not going to have expectations. He's doing something the school's never done before. And then he has to go mess it all up. I don't get it, but whatever. Everybody's different.
Everybody's different, and we've got it reversed. We're going to start with the Seahawks and get into Lane Kiffin, but whatever. We'll start with Kiffin today. I don't know what else. I don't understand the defense of him. That's what I don't get. And now I understand why they're doing it, like the ESPN talking heads. Like
Stephen A. Smith I thought he was going to trash on him, and he didn't. He said, why should anybody fault him for taking a better job? And I'm going, is it really a better job?
Well, I think you could probably make an argument they've always invested more in it. Well, they certainly have had more football success than Ole Miss. I mean, they've won, what have they won? Like 4 national titles in the last 15 years.
Okay.
Am I off on that one? So from a football perspective, yes, I think they invest more into it. I think but again, the fandom, it's not like Ole Miss isn't investing into football and like they have never invested in football. And he is proving that you can win there. But these people that are on TV and these other athletes talking about it, all you got to do is, Canzano and I talked about this last week. All you have to do is find and connect the dots to Jimmy Sexton, who's the agent for all of these coaches. And Jimmy Sexton and his organization, they also represent all these people talking about the sport. So, of course, Kirk Herbstreit's going to come out and say, I don't understand why he shouldn't be allowed to coach the team. I don't know, Kirk. Maybe because it's the two teams are in the same conference, they're rivals, and he's already going to poach a bunch of these kids and coaches, and he's already done that. But he could even do more of it. And why would you want him coaching the team when he's leaving for another team? Like, I don't know how hard that is for guys like Kirk Herbstreit and Dan Orlovsky and maybe Stephen A. Smith to understand that.
I'm sick of Kirk Herbstreit, by the way. And you know what I'm sick of?
And I'm sick of the dog. That's what I'm really sick of.
Okay, you know what?
I'm sick of the dog.
Okay. I love golden retrievers.
You do.
I'm on my 3rd golden. And so I really appreciate that he loves golden retrievers. And it was a cool story when it was his first dog. Okay. So the novelty was there. It was interesting. And the dog died. We feel bad about that. We do. But then he brought Peter, the new dog, with him now. And it's gotten to be kind of a tired storyline. And even if people don't think it's a tired storyline, I think about the damn dog. And I was talking to my wife about it. Like, I go, he's flying, and he makes a big deal about, he does the Thursday night. And I don't want him on Thursday night football. He's college football.
Get him out.
He shouldn't be doing the NFL. He does a good job, but he's not NFL. Okay. And then they show the little line across the country where he's going, for the NFL game. Then he's going to game day. And then he's going all the way to Gainesville, Florida, and then back to Nashville. And I'm
so
like,
difficult.
You know what? That's fine. If you want to do that, Kirk, you're making millions of dollars. But how about giving your damn dog a break? Do you think Peter wants, even if it's a private plane, do you think Peter wants to be, Kathy's like, well, he's on a private plane. Well, the dog doesn't care whether it's commercial or private or whatever, like Peter's going to have more fun in Nashville in the backyard than he is flying all over the damn
Peter
country.
wants to go chase some squirrels in the backyard, eat some other dog poop, and then lay on the couch. That's what the dog wants. Yeah, I'm over the whole thing.
Guaranteed, some of these hotels he's staying at, they're not dog friendly, and then they go, oh shit, Herb Street's coming. We got to be dog friendly this week.
Whatever. He's just
anyway. Okay.
Here's
what I don't understand.
You're getting sidetracked. Get back on the road.
Okay, Lane Kiffin. What I don't understand, and I've never understood this, and it might be the Coug in me coming out, and I apologize for that if it is. Well, I'm not going to apologize for it. Shit, I'm a damn proud Coug.
Do it.
But why do people always want to go somewhere where they've already had success? Like you go to LSU, let's say Lane Kiffin wins a national championship next year. Well, okay, you're stand in line for coaches that have won the national championship here. How about being the first to do it at Ole Miss? And I don't get that. It's just like with the Mariners, like why don't you come here instead of playing for the Yankees and be the first to do it? Right. I don't. Why isn't that motivating to people? I don't get that.
I don't know what motivates this guy. It's the same thing that. Well, I guess my guess would be. I mean, we don't know Lane Kiffin. I think what motivates Lane Kiffin is he's a narcissist. I mean, he the only thing that motivates Lane Kiffin is Lane Kiffin. He likes the whole drama of having his name in all of these headlines. He likes the attention. He likes skipping job to job. He's done this everywhere. I mean, he's a better version than I guess Jedd Fisch. Although he's had coaching jobs where Fisch has just been like an assistant, but he just bounces around everywhere. I mean, 1 year with the Raiders, 1 year at Tennessee. I mean, it's what he does. He can't wait to have his name, up there in the headlines of being courted by all these programs and schools, and to sit there and then go into that meeting if you haven't read the story about it, to get there and go in the meeting and tell the athletic director of Ole Miss, who I think was a baseball player there or a basketball player. He played at Ole Miss, and is like, if you don't let me coach, I'm going to raid your entire program. And that guy was like, fuck, you're not going to do anything. And there's a thought, Jim, and I love if this AD is right, and I'm blanking on his name right now, that he is the one that they think dragged this out so he could go and interview all of the other assistants. Like, he's not taking everyone. He's not taking a lot of coaches. He's taking like 4 or 5 guys on offense. That's it. Like, the defensive coordinator is now elevated to head coach. So they think he slow played Kiffin a little bit when it was winding down, so he could go in there and hire all those guys, because he named the guy, the defense coordinator, the head coach right away. And not the interim head coach. He's the head coach. And I guess bumped up all the salaries of all of the assistant coaches that are going to retain. So I like what he did there. And, Lane Kiffin is he's the worst of the worst. All these guys are. To go in there and threaten that you're gonna ruin their best season they've ever had. I mean, that's the thing I just get a kick out of. They are going to be one of the favorites to win the whole thing. And he decided, nah, I'm good. I'd rather go to LSU than watch and coach my team in the college football playoffs. I mean, imagine another coach at another league doing that. Imagine Mike McDonald going, you know what? I'm not going to coach the Seahawks in the playoffs because the Ravens just fired John Harbaugh. And I've always wanted to be the head coach of the Ravens. So I'm going to leave and what's his? Oh, Dirty. Aiden Dirty is going to take over the team. I mean,
the bloody trenches.
The bloody trenches. And Rob Staten's going to be my offensive coordinator now. But I mean, that would be like that. I mean, no one would ever do that.
Well, the thing that I mean, money is always a factor. So he's going to make $3 million a year more at LSU, but I don't I don't know what that's all about. I suppose I know that $12 million is more than $9 million, but isn't $9 million enough? And
I get tired.
The other part I always think about is I couldn't face those kids in the locker room.
Well, he didn't. I don't think he met them. I don't think he had a
okay,
meeting
then
with
that
them.
tells you
I
even
thought
more
maybe he
about
didn't
him.
have a meeting with them. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I read he did not get to actually meet the team.
Well, at some point, if he's half a man, he's going to have to face those kids, I would think. And maybe he won't be able to now, but, or, you know, whatever, Zoom call him. I don't know, but I just can't imagine having to tell those kids what I've been telling them for so long. And I'm going to be here for the long term. You know, I've got this long-term contract, all these different things. I couldn't face those kids. Yeah. And I don't know what I would tell them, because I know the kid would be looking at me going, well, geez, coach, you know, I thought we were really important to you here. And, you know, what's so great about LSU? He didn't even answer that, Marty Smith or whatever. He didn't even answer that question. What was it about? Which was a good question. Yeah. What was it about LSU that was better than what you had here at Ole Miss? And he just said, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he talked about praying to God.
Oh,
God doesn't give a shit about a coach moving somewhere.
You think God's up there? I mean, hey, we've got famine across the world, disease. Let me see. Oh, who's that down there on the knee praying?
God.
Oh, is that Lane Kiffin? Hey, Coach Kiffin. Yeah, this is God. Yeah, what do you want? I want to. Take the LSU job. I'm going to put you guys next year as an early 3-1 favorite to win the national championship. Okay, yeah, good. You're good there. See, hold on, Lane. Hold on. Poor country over here dying of disease. That's okay. You guys keep dying over there. Lane, you get your wish. God grants you. Take LSU. What's that over there? Family of 5. Luke, you can't afford anything, and you've been praying for someone to take it. No, they're good. Family of 5. You continue to live in poverty. And the stench of your own, urine right there, because Lane's got to go to LSU because he asked God nicely. Yeah, I'm sure God's real concerned about you going to LSU.
When he started talking about praying, and I'm
up.
sorry, to people who are religious, I'm sorry, I'm just not. I can tell Puck isn't either.
No,
I don't think God has time for this kind of thing. I really don't. And yet. Yeah. And you know who had time for this kind of thing is Kiffin's wife. Kiffin's wife was probably saying, hey, man,
but he's divorced.
Oxford, Mississippi versus Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've been to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's nothing great about that place. Let me tell you, it might be bigger than Oxford and offer better restaurants. But I just, on so many different levels. And the timing, I don't know. I guess you can't wait till the end of the season anymore before these things are done.
I get people's reaction, and I'm not saying that the college football calendar doesn't hold some responsibility. It does. I mean, you're forcing these coaches to make these decisions because you got National Letter of Intent days right around the corner, and the portal and all of that. So yes, does that calendar need to be fixed? 100%. But please stop being this like-minded group of people who keep saying the same thing. Well, the college football calendar, it's broken. And the sport's broken. No one forced him to take the job. No one put a gun to his head. God didn't say, look, I'm not going to grant that wish unless you take the job. I mean, no one forced him to do it. He didn't have to go. He chose to go. Now, I think for any coach, once you decide I'm out, you're out. There's no way he should be around that team anymore. And I would say the same thing.
Did you feel that way with
about Mike Price? 100%.
Mike Price when he took the Alabama job?
Biggest mistake of that school of ever allowing him to coach in the Rose Bowl. Like Mike Price, great guy, but then when you left and decided to take another job, go. Just leave, let somebody else coach the team. And I don't care if the players wanted him there. You're out.
Well, that's what they're saying at Ole Miss too. And by the way, we would have lost that game anyway because Gesser was playing on one leg.
But I also don't understand, who is it? The Tulane or North Texas? They're gonna, if they make the playoffs, they're gonna allow him to sit there and coach. Yeah. Why? He's taking another job. Let him go. I think the Tulane coach has the permission to stay. I would be like, no. You can't possibly do 2 different jobs like that at once. There's just no way.
Well, and signing day for the high school kids is on Wednesday. So
there's that. The portal opens up. I don't know all the calendar, but the portal opens up here soon.
How many of these kids that were committed to Ole Miss are going to be at LSU now? And then how many kids is he going to be taking? That Chambliss kid, their quarterback. I don't know how much eligibility he has left, but he's going to be playing for LSU next year.
When there was video when Kiffin landed in Baton Rouge, he already had a recruit in his office.
Yeah,
it's already started. So it's.
What I'd tell LSU fans? I'd say, hey, you know what, man? This guy that you think is, the god of football coaches, he damn near lost to Washington State.
Yeah, right. Right.
You think he's that great?
Right. Well, but I also would say, what has he actually won? Why is he so desired as a head football coach? What has he won?
What have they've won? What, 10 games, 3 years in a row or something?
Yeah, but what? He didn't win. He didn't win at USC.
Yeah.
What'd you think of
the podcaster that called him a hoe? Boy, hoe's a big word going around these days.
I mean, listen, that guy was, I think rightfully called out for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do something like that, and Lane Kiffin had every right to go up to him and question him. I didn't have a problem with what Lane Kiffin did there at all. I mean, you want to cover the team and talk like that on a show and then show up. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean, that line has been blurred between reporter, podcaster, that world of covering sports. So I have an issue with that at all. But it is wild. Jonathan Smith here's the thing. For all these coaches that move on to these new jobs, look at Jonathan Smith. He had everything. Everything at Oregon State. All he had to do was be patient. Be patient, because he would have got the Washington job.
Or Canzano said that he could have taken the UCLA job too.
The UCLA job, he just had to be patient. And instead, he jumped. He got bad advice. I think Sexton is his agent too. And jumped at the first opportunity to go to a place that really never wins. It's hard, third tier in the Big Ten, and he struggled and he's out. Now he gets paid and all that, but all of a sudden you're sitting there going, oh, shoot, what am I going to do now? I don't agree, and I know Beaver fans, maybe some would disagree with this. I think they made a mistake here with Jamarcus Shepard, but we'll see.
Why do you say that?
I would have held out and brought him back. Would have brought Jonathan Smith back.
Why? I know you can list a bunch of reasons why, so I shouldn't have asked it like that. The way that he left, I don't know if I would want him back.
I think it would initially be met with that
I would
reaction.
require him to go back. I'd require him to go back to Goodwill and pick up
all
the
stuff up. Yeah,
that he dropped off.
I mean, yes, did he burn a lot of bridges? Probably, but I think fans would eventually have gotten over it if he would have come out with the right. Hey, I screwed up. I should have had a message to you when I left. Well, how I handled it was poor. Taking the job at East Lansing was a mistake. I should have stayed here. Stuff like that. And I think fans would have.
It's easy to say in hindsight, but weren't we saying, I mean, not just you and me, but people in general saying the same thing when he took that job? They weren't like real in favor of Jonathan Smith going to Michigan State.
No, I just think it was a weird hire, weird fit. And
yeah,
he's a West Coast guy. And, he's always had ties to USC. That's always been the job because he grew up being a Trojan fan. Then there's UCLA. Then, of course, his time spent at Washington. And I don't know, maybe he ends up back up at Washington. Jedd Fisch doesn't look like he's going anywhere. And the reason he's not going anywhere because it's Jedd Fisch's fault. Had he won a couple more games, Jedd Fisch is probably on a plane in Gainesville. I don't know. But
I even thought about that. I thought, and I wasn't going to go so far as to root for Washington against Oregon, but if they did beat the Ducks, I mean, when did they make the hire of the Tulane guy? Was it over the weekend?
Over the weekend, maybe Saturday or Sunday morning.
And honestly, if you're a Florida fan right now and you have your choice of Jedd Fisch after beating Oregon, which it didn't happen, but just say hypothetically if they had, wouldn't you rather have Jedd Fisch than some guy from Tulane? Like, aren't we a bigger deal at Florida that we should be able to have a coaching pool where we're not fishing for a guy from Tulane?
Yeah, perhaps. I think maybe you go back and I think it was even before you got to Oregon, right? It's not losing like the Wisconsin game and then beating, I don't know, knock off Michigan. They weren't going to knock off Ohio State, but knock off Michigan. Then he becomes a more attractive, hire. And, but, he's going to look back and team success. They had a good season, but not good enough for him to get the job he probably desired.
Right.
And that was to go coach at his alma mater. And he's going to probably be kicking himself that he missed that opportunity. But it's just a wild. The college football is just a wild freaking mess right now. And
Puck, I know you and certainly myself. We love college football, but so many of us don't love it as much as we did 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, that's fair.
And there's so many Husky fans and Duck fans, I think, that feel the same way as far as being in the Big Ten. And it was just weird watching the games this weekend, the Arizona State and USC, UCLA, and just thinking, damn, those should be Pac-12 games still. And
weekend not to have. I was playing with a couple of buddies in golf on Saturday, and we were talking about this. Today should be the Apple Cup.
Yeah.
We should be getting ready for the game later today. And so, yeah, it's, the whole sport has been flipped upside down. And yeah, you're right. To flip on my TV late Saturday night and to watch Cal play SMU and going, no, yeah. Cal should be playing Stanford right now. Stanford shouldn't be playing Notre Dame. I know Cal and Stanford and Notre Dame always kind of play and they switch off and on. But yeah, I mean, all of that, that's not right. That's not the way it should be.
No. And then, I mean, there's got to be so many regrets of these teams going to the ACC and maybe even Washington and Oregon going to the Big Ten, maybe even Arizona State going to the Big 12, especially Stanford and Cal. Come back to the Pac-12, you guys. What are you doing?
Hey, shout out to Tavita Pritchard, named the new head coach there at Stanford.
Yeah,
Jack
that was
Thompson's nephew, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I believe his nephew. Meanwhile, the Seahawks. I was there in attendance yesterday. I like to do my lone game of the year, and that was my lone game of the year yesterday. And I picked a good one because of those uniforms and a bright sunny day. Just, I mean, magnifique of how good those uniforms look. Defense was just sensational again. First shutout once since 95. Lowest amount of yards since 95. We pulled that from the old Condota story from the Seattle Times. Defense was great. Offense did not look good. And I think you're going to hear the same thing probably all week long. Did Minnesota somehow give the blueprint now to stop them defensively? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to understand what Minnesota was doing other than seemed like they were just putting all their attention on how to stop JSN in the passing game. Offensive line certainly was not good, but it looks like and it sounds like if you read all the different reports that, yes, Minnesota was doing something different to take him away, and then that's the problem, right? We've been waiting for a defense to try, say, we will take away your number one option. What else do you have? And that's the worry right now with this team, offensively speaking. Who is their number two? Because it's not Cooper Kupp, because Cooper Kupp's done. I mean, he's just, he's a shot
you can
fighter.
see that more and more, can't you?
He's a shot fighter. Horton's injured. And then I was all excited about Shaheed, but what the hell when is he going to do something, anything in a game?
Yeah, hasn't done much at all, has he? I mean, that was exciting when they got him, but maybe it's still going to take some more time. I don't know how much you can read into that game. I suppose with Darnold, you can have those concerns and they're valid, or you can say, well, Brian Flores, he knew Darnold's tendencies from last year, and but generally speaking, I think we understand now that every quarterback suffers or struggles a little bit when they get pressure, but Darnold seems like it bothers him more than most quarterbacks at his level. And you flip it around though, and yeah, it was great what the Seahawks did defensively and all of that, but man, that Minnesota quarterback basically gave them no chance whatsoever, and I was surprised by that. I was fooled. I thought it might be another Colt McCoy coming into Seattle where you took them lightly, and then the Giants went out with a win, and the Vikings went out with a win yesterday. I took the 11.5 points in that game. Talk about how stupid that was. And I don't mind calling myself stupid, because, I mean, people on Twitter will say it for me if I don't.
Sure.
But taking the Vikings in 11.5 with as bad as that quarterback was against that defense and expecting a different outcome.
That's a lot of points.
Lumen Field with all the 12s there. That was really
bad. I'm sure you've seen this on social media. And if you haven't, and I still don't know if this is a real picture or this is AI. I don't know. Have you seen this picture of Anthony Bradford where once again doesn't block anyone, and then Sam Darnold's on the ground with his hands up in the air? Have you seen that? Or are you
No,
seeing
but
this
I
for
can
the
see
first
it
time?
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're showing, for those just listening on the video, showing the picture that has been making the rounds on social media of Sam Darnold on his stomach, hands up in the air, where Anthony Bradford did once again, where when they hike the ball, he stands around, swivels his head, looks for someone to block, and then doesn't block anyone. It's my favorite play every Sunday. Is the red 38 shotgun X right, Bradford, look around, confused, don't block anyone play. It's again, I enjoy it very much. In fact, every time they're on offense now, Jim, I get fixated on just watching him to see how many times his head will swivel before, how many times, hold on, where did you go? There you go. I like to watch how many times his head will swivel before he looks for someone to block. How many times? And I like to count how many times it turns left and right.
Were you happy when he came out of the game and Haynes went in for him? And did you
Yeah.
think it was because of poor performance and not some sort of elbow injury?
Poor performance. Because when you're there, right, you can't, there's no TV, so I don't know what's going on. You can't check your phone and all that. So, yes, I thought they had pulled him from the game. I was unaware that it was due to an injury. But I think
has there ever been a Seahawks
and did a high five when he was out?
Has there ever been a Seahawks player that you privately, you wouldn't say this publicly, but privately wish that he would get not a season-ending injury, but maybe a sprained ankle or something like that, severe enough that it would put him on the injured reserve so that we could try something different at that position?
Probably, but no one's coming to mind right away.
But then don't you in the back of your mind think, this guy can't be as bad as I think he is, or else they would make a move?
Well, yeah. Well, it just tells me that Haynes, who came in for him, is worse than he is, because they see everything on film, and they wouldn't they have, if they thought Haynes was better, they'd put Haynes in.
Well, he must be doing okay run blocking. They were able to move the ball on the ground yesterday fairly well.
Well, when it comes to pass blocking, man, it's every time. It's just every time. He just looks around. He's like, what? Who am I supposed to block? Yeah, they didn't look good offensively.
No, you're right, though. I'm pulling for Sam Darnold. That really wasn't the redemption game against the Vikings that I think he was looking for. They did win 26-0, but did Darnold have much to do with that?
No, and again, it's there's a lot more there than just he wasn't good. The offensive line, the defense. I mean, Brian Flores is a good defensive coordinator. Minnesota's pretty good defensively, and they throw a bunch of different stuff at you. And I'm sure they talked about that on the broadcast. But it's 3 games in a row he hasn't looked good. Rams game and then back-to-back weeks they've won, but just hasn't looked sharp.
What's your, how I watch the yelling shows in the morning.
Oh, how was the yelling?
So, they have the best play of the weekend and the worst play. And of course, it was a runaway winner for the worst play with Brosmer on 4th and 1 and going out.
That was phenomenal.
So many thoughts occurred to me, God, if I'm Brosmer's dad, what do I say to him after the game? If I'm a reporter that covers the Vikings, how do you broach that subject with him when he's standing there at the podium?
What do? You just say, hey, take us through the interception. What from your vantage point, what did you see? What were you trying to do? I know, yeah.
I know, but in the back of your mind as a reporter, you're thinking, hey man, that looked like something I would see in a Thanksgiving Day morning game out in a field somewhere where, Johnny did the underhand thing trying to get it to Jimmy.
Yeah.
That just was
not
and
good.
then the thing that amused me the most was not just the interception, but here's Ernest Jones running the other way, and you knew it was going to be a pick six of 85 yards or whatever. But when you look at Brosmer, he's flat on the ground, and then he looks like a flopping fish in a boat, just kind of like
waiting for somebody to take the little hammer, the little wood hammer, and just knock him out, kill him.
And he's just like, and at the same, I'm making fun of him, but I'm feeling bad for him too. Imagine if that's your kid, or and that kid's had all kinds of success, or he wouldn't be on this team and wouldn't be in that position to start that game yesterday. But boy, he didn't look the part at all. And I know he was a third stringer and that Wentz was
Sure.
hurt and McCarthy was out. So they had to do something. But I don't know what they're going to do this week. You can't throw that kid back out there, I don't think.
Well, he's also facing one of the best defenses in the league. So maybe we'll cut him a little bit of slack. Speaking of great defenses, before you go, we'll have more tomorrow on Old Crimson. Michael-Shawn Dugar waiting by right now for the Dugar Report. But how about the Cougs? On 6-6, they go to a bowl game. We don't know what bowl game they're going to play in. This team easily and should have been 8-4, but they're not. They're 6-6. But I don't know. I think it's a good first season. I think it wrapped up with a very good regular season for Jimmy Rogers, a ton of new players, a schedule that took you across the country left and right, facing all these top, 25, 20 programs in the country on the road, competing with all of them, almost winning, could have had a chance to win all of the games. And I think it all came together in the final game. I don't hear anybody bitching and moaning about the offensive coordinator after Saturday. Didn't hear any of that on Twitter. And they looked great. Zevi played great. I was really happy. And Rogers talked about it for Angel Johnson. We've talked a lot about him all year long. It is, and I totally forgot or just didn't even think about that. That was his first touchdown. First touchdown of the season. This guy had some of the most publicity about him offensively coming over as a transfer. And it just didn't work out. And I liked what Rogers said. He didn't hang his head. He didn't complain, didn't do any of that. He just kept working, was a great teammate, and it was good to see him, pay off in that final game of the year.
No, you're right. I thought the same thing. For people who are unaware of Angel Johnson, he was supposed to be our leading running back. He was supposed to be a star, like Puck was saying. 47 rushes for 94 yards until Saturday night when he ripped off a 50-yarder and then got the final 2 yards for a touchdown. And so you could tell how Jimmy Rogers, how much this kid meant to him because it was emotional for him. And for Angel Johnson to cap off his one-year career at Washington State, it was pretty cool to see putting the finishing touches on a 32-8 win. So hopefully he'll maybe in the bowl game, we'll see more of what we thought we were going to see all season from him. But you're right, Puck. When you look back on the season, 6-6, you would go, that's just so mediocre, not that great. But really, in the scheme of things, and James Madison and North Texas, normally you'd go, oh, God, those are shit teams. They should have beaten them.
Not this year.
Not this year. They might be in the college football playoff, one or both of them. So, and then Ole Miss and Virginia, you could have won those games. And so, I think it was just nothing but a successful season, really, for the Cougs this year.
We'll see who they play. It sounds like maybe New Mexico in the New Mexico Bowl. I think
it doesn't matter. I'm just excited to see a 13th game from these kids.
I agree.
Yeah.
We'll have more on that tomorrow, Old Crimson, with myself and Paul Sorensen, a former All-American at Washington State.
That's right. That's right. We have an inside joke there that we're debating on whether we should tell Paul or not about.
We'll think about it. We'll discuss before we unveil it.
It was a funny line.
It was a great line. A great line. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll see you on Wednesday.
Okay, Puck. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. There he is, Jim Moore, the go-to guy with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, brought to you by Brotherton Cadillac, also the Angry Beaver, and Bright Owl Lighting / a clean streak there as well. All right, time for the Dugar Report with Michael-Shawn Dugar of The Athletic, all brought to you by Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Here we go, Michael-Shawn Dugar with us, and I don't know why this video is screwing up here today, Mike. Sorry about that. Now I got you up there. The Michael-Shawn Dugar Show, the Dugar Report, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Of course, the Seahawks victorious again yesterday over the Vikings. They pitch a shutout. We'll get to the defense. We will get to Ernest Jones, the overall play of the defense. Also, the offensive line. Anthony Bradford will touch on that one. Did Minnesota's defense finally provide the blueprint to the rest of the league how to stop JSN? We'll get to all of that. And joining us, as he always does, Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. Again, the Dugar Report brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Let's first start there with the defense, Mike. They pitch a shutout, first shutout since 95, lowest total yards since 1995. They continue each week. They just, as McDonald likes to say, stacking another win, stacking another impressive effort. And they did that yesterday against Minnesota. Despite the rookie quarterback and all of that, I think DeMarcus Lawrence told you guys, hey, they're professionals. It's hard to do that in this league, and he's right. Hold on, Mike. I don't got you there, buddy. I don't hear you. Could be something on my end. Could be something on your end. You never know. Let me unmute you. You got to unmute yourself.
It's me. You got me? That was me.
I got you. That's
sorry.
okay. Hey, it happens. We've had a couple of hiccups this morning already. It happens when you take a few days off. It's not a well-oiled machine there, Mike.
Yeah, live television.
Yeah, defense. Thoughts. Just they keep doing it every week. It's another kind of milestone for these guys, it feels like.
Yeah, I've been around long enough to see them not do this to people they should, including last week. This is how I thought they would make Cam Ward look. And Cam had his best game of his career, against the Seahawks defense, and Cam immediately went back to looking like not so great, last night against Jacksonville. So, it shows that just because you're supposed to do something doesn't mean you go out and do it. And you see that every week. The Rams are supposed to go out and beat Carolina. They didn't. You see this every single week where somebody is supposed to handle business. Neither it's a close win or they don't win at all. So I think there's something to be said for, hey, we were supposed to beat the snot out of Max Brosmer. Like if you're the Seahawks, we were supposed to do that. And we did it, though, because that, again, it does not always happen. I think it's a product of it not happening to last week. That defense was not happy, Puck, about how they played in Tennessee. They were not. They were open about it. Some guys are more private about it, but it's very clear in that locker room. They're like, yeah, we won. That's great. Jax broke a record. Good for those guys over there on offense. However, we need to play better on defense because that's unacceptable. All the conversions that they allowed Cam to have. They thought they allowed too many points, which it was only 17 that the defense allowed. But for them, that was too many. And then you go look at the next week. Now they're like, see, this is us. What they did, how they could not score on us, for them, that's the expectation. Obviously not going to shut a team out every week, but I do think you mentioned what Mike McDonald says all the time. I think we're seeing what he says. Some of this stuff, these cliches that I hate, these coach speak stuff, these mantras that are all over the wall, they're real to the guys in the building. And when you're assessing the team, that is what matters. It doesn't matter that I think 12-1 is kind of cheesy. If everyone on the team believes it, then it's the greatest slogan ever. And he has so many of them that kind of come to life on game days.
Who is, and again, there's no right or wrong answer to this. I just, from your vantage point, your opinion, who is the key figure on that defense? Who's making this all work? Who gets the most credit?
Oh, you mean from my view, who's playing the best at making this thing work?
The player that is, the player that is playing the best, the MVP right now of the defense, in your opinion, would be who?
Leo. I'm actually writing my follow-up story today will be about him and Murph. So yeah, I think Leo is playing out of his mind. I think he's playing he and Zach Allen in Denver are probably playing the best ball of any defensive tackles in the league. I put Murph in there too. They actually just released Pro Bowl voting about 5 minutes ago on the first round of it. It's weird. Leo's listed 9th because he's listed as a defensive end. Hopefully he can fight that because he should be the number 1 defensive tackle or the number 2. Like Murph is the number 2 defensive tackle in Pro Bowl voting so far. So yeah, Leo's making it go. There was a sequence, Puck, to give an example. First drive of the game after I think Josh Jobe wipes out Chenna Nwosu's sack to start it. So they get a fresh set it down. First play, Leo, after the penalty, Leo whips Will Fries. Boom. Tackles Aaron Jones for 1 yard. Next play, splits a double team, pressures Rosemary, has to check it down, goes for 6 yards. Next play, 3rd and 3, whips Fries again, sack. 3-play sequence, 3 and out, all because of Leo. Not literally all because of him, but you get the point. Like that was Leo impact. Basically just smoked the series by himself. And he does that pretty much at least once a game. It's something like, and that's hard to do as an interior defensive lineman, and he's making it shake. And now only one of those plays I mentioned will really be in the stat sheet, so to speak. It's the sack. That'll be the only thing on the highlight reel. But you watch these games, and 99 jumps out every week because he's a game record. He's been the best and most consistent player on the defense.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal to watch play in the defense. I think collectively has been good all season long and strong all season. And again, I understand it was a rookie. I get that, but at the same time, it just doesn't happen often. These shutouts. I mean, you look at the gap between their last one, 1995, and then 2025. So it's a phenomenal job there defensively, and they needed all of it yesterday. So, if the fumble, right, Minnesota takes over down in Seattle's, in their own end zone, basically, in their own side of the field. You think they're going to have a chance to go punch in a score, at least a field goal and all that. They go for a fourth down. Ernest Jones, gets the interception on the pressure there by DeMarcus Lawrence. Jones was real emotional. It seemed like kind of after the game. They show that locker room speech. You heard Mike McDonald talk about it. Ernest Jones, kind of more there, Mike, or just what kind of led that? Do you think that pouring out of emotion it felt like from Ernest Jones yesterday?
No, that's who Ernest is. That's just him all the time. He's very intense, but he's also very candid. I sat down with them earlier this year for a story that came out before the Bucks game, and it was just like that. He's very vulnerable. I think that's one of his strengths. Reminds me a little bit of Michael Bennett, his vulnerability, talking about his story, what he's afraid of, what he likes, what motivates him. That there's power in that. And Mike ended up writing a book about all that as well. Yeah, but that's what I think makes Ernest like the soul of the team, because he is really doing this, for those guys, look at the locker room speech, who were the two things that he needed to get him right was God and his teammates. That was it. That's it. I need y'all and I need God, and I'll go out there and kick some ass, and the guys rally around that, Ernest is out here doing it for us. He's playing hurt. He'll play healthy. He'll go punch someone on the Packers in the head. He'll go cuss out guys on the other team. He's that type of guy, and he's doing it for the guy next to him. He is very Legion of Boomy to me in that way, where it's just no, I'm a killer, but really I'm out here killing with my guys. That's what I do. And I think Leo's the best player, but I think in terms of the heart and soul guy, it's by far and away Ernest.
Okay, so was the blueprint handed out by Minnesota's defense to how to slow down, take out JSN, you think?
I don't think so, just because you know what it is, Puck? Here's the analogy I'll give, and this makes sense because we're both Cougs. It's almost like when teams would have to play us when we had Mike Leach. We were just so unique that there was you couldn't prepare. It was hard. Some teams just lost to us, not because we were better than them, because you only have 3 days to practice or whatever. And the air raid's hard to get used to. We don't use a tight end. All these things that just made it hard for Utah used to struggle with us, even though they're better than us a lot. Oregon as well. So the Vikings are kind of the same thing with their defense. It's just chaos ball, and you're not going to figure that out in a couple days. You're just not. So which is why teams in the division tend to play better against them than teams outside of division, because they're used to seeing it. So, and I say that to say it's hard to replicate. If Mike Leach's air raid goes and drops 40 on somebody, if you're about to play that team the next week, you can't just say, "Oh, well, let's just do what Mike Leach and Connor Halliday or Luke Falk did." Mm-hmm. Well, no, you don't run that. That's not, you use a fullback, you go under center, you use play action, you whatever, you have a different identity. So yeah, I don't think the Falcons or the Colts or the Rams or any of the teams coming up on the schedule and say, "Oh, well, there you go. That's how you stop Jackson." Well, no, because you don't have those same rules, those same principles, those same if-then scenarios in your defense. You can't just make all that up in a couple of days. You can try to, and you'll get fired because you'll lose. Jackson will have 300 yards, and you'll look ridiculous. But I think they did do a good job on him, and they did some stuff that I've been waiting for teams to do. They said, "Hey, if you want to throw the ball to Cooper Kupp for 6 yards, be our guest. You want to hit Cody White on some slants on third down? God bless. But what we're not going to let you do is get the ball to 11. And I do think that general idea is something teams are going to replicate.
Well, and it's a theme that we've talked about, and not just us. It hasn't been our little secret. It's been everyone's, I think, talking point has been this relying too much on him in the passing game and not being able to have a reliable, consistent number two. And I think that's what, with the Horton injury, Shaheed hasn't made an impact yet, still, figuring out the system and all that. And I get that, but I thought one of the attractions of getting him was that he worked with Clint Kubiak already, but it doesn't seem like that hasn't worked out quite yet. He hasn't been that number 2 option that I think a lot of people thought he was going to be. And Kupp is just, he's Kupp's on the back 9 of his career. He's on the last few holes. You can see it. Still doesn't mean he's not a good player, but they just haven't had that reliable second option to go JSN yet.
Yeah, and it does worry me a little bit. I think once I finish this follow-up on Murph and Leo, my midweek story will probably be like, hey, Rashid's been here a month and they're not throwing him the ball. What's going on? And just present it that way and not just be alarmed per se. But it's a month. He's played 4 games, in a system that he's been in before, and he's not really impacting the game other than when he runs it. And I'm just like, well, if you just traded for a third running back, that's a problem here. It's a bad move by John Snyder in a year where he's made some great ones. So I am a little worried about that because teams have pride, man. And you know this, Puck. Like, no one just wants to be the team that gets cooked by JSN at this point. You don't want to be the next team that gets 150 yards. I think that more teams are just going to do what the Vikings did in the sense of, hey, man, it's 3rd and 9. We're about to triple team number 11. And if you throw the ball to 88 on a check down, cool. You check it down to 9. That's probably bad for us if we can't tackle. But in general, we'll take it. I think that is a problem. They're going to have to figure that out. Puck, there was a play yesterday. Number 7 on the Vikings. He just face guarded Jax. That's it. He wouldn't even look. It was like running a boxing 1 yesterday on Jackson. And Jackson ended up trying to one-hand the ball. I think that was actually his first target. So that, I think, you're going to see a little bit of that. If the teams are smart, by the way, some coaches are just arrogant and won't try that. But that's what I would do because it's winning the ball. They couldn't get the ball to Jax, and the offense was just dead.
Oh, and especially if he's relying on that's where his first read is, and it takes him a second to come off it and find somebody else, that gives another half second for a defensive line to beat their guy and get to Sam Darnold. I think other teams will pick up on it. We'll see how Seattle adjusts and what they'll do. They'll counterpunch to whatever a defense will throw at them, and now they've got film on it to see what Minnesota was able to do against him. Going back to Shaheed for a second, since the trade of 4 games, 4 catches, 37 yards, and a long of 21. That's just not good for the capital you gave up to go and get him. And I think what the idea was in getting him and what he would mean to this team. And I know that the defenses understand that they want to use him deep, but God, I don't know. Has there been a shot? I think you even did a video on this. I think maybe you and Chris on your film on Friday, and correct me if I'm wrong, did something on this where, the defenses understand they want to use Shaheed deep. It just doesn't feel like he's even being used in that role. Have they even attempted a pass to him like on a deep post in the 4 games?
Not on a post. They had him on a go ball against the Rams, and Emmanuel Forbes broke it up. It was a great play by him in the end zone.
Oh,
that was If he catches that, his impact feels a little different, but he didn't because the defense knows that he's there for the deep shots as well. They ran a deep post to him against the Titans. They covered it. They doubled it. Jax was wide open, and then Sam just sailed a pass to AJ Barner that went to like the 3rd row. They tried another one to Shaheed against the Titans. Sam threw it anyway when he shouldn't have, got hit. And that's the one where the DB, it hits him like in the chest, like almost like an arm punt. So they're trying, but the defense knows he's fast. They know they're alert in the post when he's in there. But still, you traded for him because you feel like you can beat that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's got to start coming alive because I think he's the only one where you'll say, all right, you're taking away Jax. Well, how about you take a bomb to number 22? Teams will not live with that. They will live with Cody White slants. They will live with AJ Barner checkdowns. They will live with Cooper Kupp out routes for 6 yards or whatever. They will not live with Rashid Shaheed deep shots. That's got to be how you punish teams taking away Jax. Mike McDonald talked about it on the radio today. He mentioned Cody White's catch as an example of like, hey, they double Jackson. All right, we got other options. I would love to tell Mike if you're counter, and I love Cody White. If your counter is slants to Cody White, the other team's going to beat you every time because they're okay with that. They don't fear that. That's just not enough of a dagger shot, whereas Shaheed is. If you take away Jackson, you got 50-yard bomb to Shaheed. Now that's how you go win games.
All right. So I think you were listening when Jim and I were talking about this picture that's made it around social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's real or not. So if you've seen it, right, where Bradford's kind of looking around and then Sam Darnold's on the ground with his hands up, appeared to be looking at Bradford, right?
I haven't seen this picture. I heard
Oh,
you
you
guys
haven't
talking
seen it?
about it, but I was
Let me-
looking at the Pro Bowl voting.
Hold on, let me show it to you again. Okay, now some reason the video keeps getting screwed up today, so I am going to apologize. Here is the hold on, where did it go? Give me a yeah, share screen. There it is. You see it? Sam Darnold, his hands up on the ground, looking at Anthony Bradford like, "Hey, man, what did you do? You did it again. Like, what is going on?" So your thoughts.
I don't know if that's real.
I don't know if it is either.
It looks like it's the play where the guy landed on him and he's looking for the ref to call the flag and just so someone gets the shot of the year in Seahawks land.
But regardless if it's not real, I mean, Anthony, like my favorite game, I was telling Jim, is especially on the pass plays, I just like watching him to see how many times he looks around for someone to block. It's a game to me. I get a kick out of it. He obviously is the weak link of that offensive line. How weak is he? I don't know. They would know more than we would know. But if they felt that Christian Haynes was better, Haynes would be in there. So something tells me that Haynes is not as good as him, which is a problem. Or they would make a move with him with Anthony Bradford. He left the game yesterday with an injury. If you were in the stadium, you thought maybe they left because they pulled him, but comes out that he had the elbow injury. And again, because I think everyone wonders the same question, Mike. You probably get it all the time. Why don't they just replace him?
Yeah, and it's a weird question for people who have been following like Mike Macdonald era pretty closely. He has made it very clear if you aren't living up to whatever the standard is, you're out of here fairly quickly. You know, Laviska Shenault was doing okay on special teams, fumbled a couple times in East Rutherford and was out of here. As soon as they landed, like, see ya. They cut the other special teams guy that week too. You know, I mean,
but who's just the guy the other day? Didn't they cut him because he screwed up?
Darion Kendrick. Yeah, like he didn't tackle well against the Bucks. Got in there on special teams, gave a punt return, and said, "All right, see ya." You know, so yeah, that Mike pulls the trigger if he doesn't feel you're performing. You know, Tyrell Dodson, he didn't just bench Tyrell Dodson; he shipped him out of town. You know, same thing with Jerome Baker. So that's why I call it a weird question. I understand where the question comes from about Anthony Bradford. Yes, Chris and I get it all the time. Why is 75 on the team? Get 75 off my screen. I get it. But however, look how Mike Macdonald operates. You really think like he doesn't have no loyalty to Bradford? He didn't draft him. You know, he just showed up. He was on the team. So if he really thought Haynes was better, Haynes would have been playing the minute he was healthy. So it is one of those where they're like, hey, we know better than, you know, a few social media clips. I do think Anthony gets a bad rap where if he has a game, let's say Pucky plays 61 plays. If he has 5 lowlights, will they get thrown into a TikTok reel and then just shared widely? And that happens for no one else. I could take a game here or there where I could do that same thing with Gray against Jeffrey Simmons. He was getting whipped around last week. Abe has had a bunch of lowlights. Hey, Olu as well.
We don't do that for Abe.
Yeah, I mean, you know what was crazy? Mike, yesterday,
we can't do it for Abe. We steer clear of Abe. He's ours.
But you know what was crazy about that? Yesterday, I tweeted the sack that Sam took, and the one that leads to the picture, I believe, that you showed.
Okay,
and it's so very clear Abe is beaten off the snap by Jonathan Grenard. Like it's just clear as day. All
Darnold
I get in my
got rid of the ball sooner.
No, all I get in my mentions is Mike. Look at Anthony Bradford push his guy into Sam. And I'm just like, you guys, now you're just being mean. This reminds me of how people used to treat like CJ Procise every time I mentioned that he got hurt, or Rashad Penny, or Trey Flowers. Like, it just pick the new guy to hate. It's usually a different guy every year. Sometimes a guy is a recurring winner. But yeah, this year it's Anthony Bradford. No matter what happens,
every team's got to have a guy.
Yeah, he's the guy.
He's the guy. Anthony Bradford is the guy this year for all of Seahawks Nation.
But here's where I generally I felt like, all right, you guys are just being mean. You guys being like fans like who tweet me this stuff. I'm like, you guys are being mean. And then Puck, they had those 2 slow-mos yesterday of him just blowing blocks in the red zone in the run. And I was like, you know, I can't even really defend this today. I just don't have the energy because that's stuff that just can't happen. Like when he's ended up facing the wrong way on the blocking, sometimes you're just looking for work as a lineman, you know, and sometimes the guy you're supposed to block drops out. I get how pass pro works. he was pulling guard, just whiffs on Zach Charbonnet run. You know, just gets a quick loss on a Ken Walker run. That's the stuff where I'm like, dude, if you're not doing that, you know, you're gonna get replaced. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they look to open up that competition here during the week. Mike Macdonald talked about that on the radio today too. First time I've heard him talk about Anthony, by the way, on the radio. So something maybe
like an open competition.
Maybe,
and it's hard to do that during an NFL week of practice, right? Maybe
but they're doing it right now with Reek and Job.
Yeah, I know, but it's in like that's a high school thing you could do more of, right? Because they hit more and there's a competition, there's more competing it. And I know maybe you can do it at the NFL level, but it's I guess your windows and your days to do it, you know, shrink because you don't have really a lot of time. You got to put it,
and
all a bunch of stuff and get going.
You know what I think is also Anthony Bradford's issue in terms of a competition during the week. His attribute that makes him attractive as a guard is that if he gets his hands on you, you're typically cooked. Like just watch Anthony sometimes. If he actually gets his hand on the guy goes nowhere. He doesn't get like a lot of like just blown over, you know. He doesn't guys aren't just shedding his block. Like he's probably the strongest lineman they have. That's not something I imagine you can really test in practice. You know what I'm saying? You don't really want him grabbing Byron Murphy, you know, and trying to pancake him in practice. So I don't know. Maybe that's an issue because then on game day, you know, it doesn't look as good as it should. But I thought it was very interesting that this is the first week 13, where Mike was talked about it on the radio and was asked about it on the flagship station. By the way, a question probably wasn't an accident.
Yeah, that's good. All right, you can read all of Mike's work up at theathletic.com. Go get yourself a subscription if you don't have one. Read his work there. Listen to his podcast along with Chris Kidd's Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast titled Living in the Death Zone. You can find it where you get all your podcasts, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, does not matter. They talk about Sam Darnold. They talk about Mike Macdonald's game management, Super Bowl hopes. Oh, did you bring up the game management at the end of the half with the timeouts?
Yeah, usually I try to see where the coach is coming from, and
I'd
I
like
just
to know what he was thinking
not.
on that one. The timeouts don't get a carryover, and that was bad at the half. That was really, really bad.
That was inexcusable.
That was way too much time off the clock, not taking timeouts, and the fans, rightfully so, booed the hell out of him, and they should have, and they booed him later in the game when they got him when he was going to go for the field goal. And then booed him, and he's like, all right, well, maybe I'll listen to the fans, and we'll send the team back out there and go for it, which they ended up getting it. But, yeah, good. I'm go back. I want people to listen to that and watch their thoughts there on the game management. We didn't get to it. And, of course, you can also check out Mike's got a book, The Franchise. You can story about the Seattle Seahawks. You can find it wherever you get your books. Christmas, we're in December now, Mike. It makes
and it's on sale at Amazon right now for Cyber Monday. There you go. Yeah, and if you want a signed copy, DM me on any social media platform. My DMs are open. Let me know. I'll get you a signed copy, even if you can't make it to a game. I got a little system set up at the house to make sure that happens. So hit me up for a gift for someone else at the holidays, whatever, for you, for your kid, for your son. I sold 5 books yesterday at the game. So
good.
Yeah, I appreciate the support.
Congratulations. All right, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. We'll chat next week.
Going bowling, baby. Go Cougs.
Going bowling. Go Cougs. All right, there he is, Michael-Shawn Dugar, the Dugar Report. He jumps on with us weekly, all brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Big thanks to Georgetown Brewery for bringing you Michael-Shawn Dugar every single week. Again, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Offa, Rogers Pilsner, Georgetown's Tavern Beer, Tasting Room Beer Garden, open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit them at georgetownbeer.com. All right, let's get to, we've got Hey What the Puck coming up at the end of the show. But before we get there, on this day as we turn the calendar to December 1st, on this day, 1929. Many of you probably play this game on the weekends, and you used to think, oh, this is for old people. This is for people the 1 foot in the grave, but now it's a sensation. The younger generation's caught on. There are playing of this every Friday and Saturday night at your local clubs. It doesn't matter where you can fight. It used to just be for churches, but 1929, the game of bingo, kind of how you know bingo now, invented by American toy salesman Edwin S. Lowe. Now, there had been other games previously that had been played in other countries. In fact, The earliest tale of bingo was recorded in 1530 in Naples, Italy. And then France or Paris had a game that was very similar to bingo that came out in 1778. But Lowe is the one given credit for popularizing, if I can spit it out, the game at a traveling carnival. And the original game was not called bingo, it was called Beano. Well, why Beano? Well, they didn't have the markers to mark your pieces of paper, so they used dried beans. The game grew during the Great Depression. Why did it grow during the Great Depression? Well, Catholic churches used it to get money for fundraisers for people. That's how it kind of grew and how popular it was across the country from the Great Depression. Of course, now you know it as bingo. Everyone loves bingo. Who doesn't? Sometimes, though, when they go too fast on it, you got to slow down a little bit to the people that do, moderate the bingo thing. Slow down just a tad, all right? Especially when we get to the speed round. People have been drinking. They can't hear them, especially the people that are at the Elks and Ballard. All right, 1953. How about this? Every teenager, you will always remember your first copy. And I truly will say this. Yes, I loved it for everything else, but I did enjoy when the college football issue came out. I thought it was one of the best college football preview magazines ever. And I used to love that when they would fly all of the athletes down to the Playboy Mansion for the college football Playboy preview magazine that came out. First edition. Remember, they'd have I think I still have Girls of the Pac-10 someplace. Back when I was in college, I interviewed one of them. I had a radio show, and I interviewed one of the girls that was in Girls of the Pac-10. That's so bad. You know what? We got to find audio of that interview. And I got to find that magazine. I should have it. 1953, first edition of Playboy magazine published featuring Marilyn Monroe. She was the magazine's first centerfold. The first magazine edition sold out in weeks, 50 cents a copy. Of course, Hugh Hefner turned into a giant and became, I think it's still out. I think it's published yearly now. I think just once a year it comes out. I don't think it's published, certainly not published weekly anymore. And I don't even know if it's published monthly. But I'm not lying. That college football Playboy preview magazine was an all-timer, especially when they did the Girls of the Pac-10. Go look it up. It's probably online someplace. 1967, on this day, December 1st, 2 American League Baseball expansion franchises were awarded. And one of them awarded to the city of Seattle. That team, not the Mariners, that team was the Seattle Pilots. 2 years later, they played one season. 1969, they played at Sick Stadium down there in South Seattle. 1 year, went bankrupt. Bud Selig takes them over, moves them to Milwaukee. Of course, they become the Brewers. Mariners would get a team back there in 1977. Also in 1967, Wilt Chamberlain scored 52 points in a 133-109 victory over your Seattle Supersonics. The thing that's impressive about Wilt Chamberlain scoring 52 points in this game in 1967 was the fact that he set an NBA record. Now, the NBA record he set was an NBA record of 22 missed free throws in that game in 1967, in a game in which he still scored 52 points. On this day, we're speaking of birthdays. On this day, comedian Richard Pryor would have been celebrating a birthday today. He was born in 1940, passed away in 2005, in the same month, December 10th of 2005, at the age of 65, so would have turned 85 today. He has been given credit by a bunch of comedians: Jerry Seinfeld, Bob Newhart, Bill Cosby, to name a few, a ton of them. Dave Chappelle, that he is the greatest comedian of all time. Richard Pryor, again, born on this day, 1940. Hey, I don't know if it's a happy birthday, but at least he has a birthday on this day. Okay. He would have been 76 today, by the way. Pablo Escobar, 76 today. Happy birthday to Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine, head of the Medellin crime family, the cartel. He passed away on December 2nd, 1993. when upon his death in 1993, they estimate they had a net worth of $30 billion for Pablo Escobar. No longer with us on December 1st, passing away on this date, Gaylord Perry. You old Mariner fans remember Gaylord Perry. Passed away at the age of 84, Hall of Famer, well before he ever played for Seattle. 1972 Cy Young Award winner, pitched one season for the Mariners. One season, but it did include him winning his 300th game in a Mariners uniform, May 6, 1982. And that was pretty historic because at that time, there had been a huge gap between 300-game winners. It was the first 300-game winner since Early Wynn had done it back in 1963. Also no longer with us, passing away December 1st, 2012. Rick Majerus, 5-time WAC Coach of the Year. Died of heart failure at the age of 64. One of the all-time personalities. Great basketball coach. Famously kind of remembered and known for, well, being a great basketball coach and a great personality, but never lived out of hotels, never had a home, lived out of a hotel every day of his life. Rick Majerus passing away today in 2012. All right, hey, what the puck, as we wrap up Monday's daily puck drop with this. It's all brought to you by Restoration One in North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services, locally owned and operated. Give them a call at 206-817-8917. Reach out to them at restoration1.com, North Seattle franchise. We talked about this earlier in the show. We started off with it, but Lane Kiffin is the worst of the worst. And again, yes, does college football have a problem with their calendar? Yeah, but this is not the reason Lane Kiffin is the worst of the worst. No one forced Lane Kiffin to take the LSU job. No one takes any of these guys to take these jobs that they do. They do it. They're professional liars. They always have been, and they always will be professional liars. And no one's denying that you can't take a better job. And I understand if you get a percentage of your salary, you want to make more money, you're going to do it. There is and I hear this a lot, there's a huge difference between somebody making $65,000 a year, $80,000 a year, whatever it is, whatever you make, and then getting a 30% increase in your salary. Okay, that's significant. Someone that goes from $10 million to $12 million, I get it. You're going to say it's $2 million. I mean, 10 million and 12 million, it's just not the same. It just isn't making the same of someone who is making 70 and then gets a 30% pay raise. It's so different than what these guys make in the stratosphere that they're in for salaries. It's his ego, and he wants to move on. He likes his name being mentioned. He just wants to keep going to the next step. He'll stay at LSU for a few years before he wants to get back into the NFL. And LSU probably knows that. So what he did at Ole Miss, he'll do to LSU because he's done it to every fan base. Did it to the Raiders. He did it to Tennessee. He does it to everywhere he goes. But he is the worst of the worst. He's left behind a team that's in for a college football playoff bid. It's going to be one of the favorite teams, maybe have a chance to win the whole thing. Certainly, this wild and I think kind of up in the air, college football playoff. Can they win the whole thing? You're damn right. It's a rich football tradition, a rich program, all of it. People are loving where they're at right now, and now it all gets thrown out because of the decision he's made. I respect the hell out of someone like Brett Vegan. If you don't know who Brett Vegan is, he's the head coach at Montana State. And he's actually been criticized a little bit for this because 2 years in a row, Brett Vegan is interviewed for an opening in the Pac-12. Last year, he interviewed at Washington State. This year, he interviewed at Oregon State. And he could have had both jobs. In fact, he was most likely the number one guy last year for Washington State. And it sounds like he was the number one guy for Oregon State this year. But just like last year, he did the same thing this year with Oregon State. He told them, I can't make a decision until we are done with the current season right now. I want to coach the team in the playoffs and then make a decision whether to accept or not. And likely would have accepted last year's job with Washington State had they just said, okay. And probably for Oregon State, but these schools can't be patient. They want it right away. And he gets criticized for it because people have said, hey, if you want a job, you're going to have to say you're done coaching and move on to the next job. And I get that. I kind of respect the hell out of it, though. He wants to finish something, see it all the way through. Unlike someone like Lane Kiffin. Doesn't want to see it all the way through. There's a lot of problems in college football, and certainly the calendar is one of them. Please don't make this about the calendar, and please don't come to his defense. this is all about Lane Kiffin, and Lane Kiffin wants to do what Lane Kiffin wants to do. This is a Lane Kiffin problem. He created this. The college football calendar didn't create this. Nobody else did. He did. All right, that's Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One. Visit them at restoration1.com. North Seattle franchise. They're going to take care of you and help you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage. Big thanks to everybody watching and listening to today's show. Thank you to all of our sponsors, as always, Limback Lumber, Flat Stick Pub, Georgetown Brewery, Restoration One. Thank you to gym sponsors, Brotherton Cadillac, also a Clean Streak and Bright Owl Lighting, and the Angry Beaver there in Greenwood. Today's Daily Puck Drop, you can find it up on all of your favorite podcast platforms, including YouTube. When you're there, please subscribe to the channel. You may watch it, but you're not a subscriber. Just hit the subscribe button. Nothing weird's going to happen. Just subscribe. It helps us. Leave a comment. Hit that like button. Also, you can find it on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple and Spotify. When you're there, rate the show. Leave a comment. That helps us as well. Move up that ladder, those charts there on the podcast. And, of course, you can visit us at pucksports.com. There you can sign up to become a Pucks Posse member. You support all the daily content we do. Plus, we give you bonus shows every single week. We'll have new shows out this week with Ryan Divish, Inside Pitch, as we talk Mariners offseason, and another edition of KJ Arntz with Mitch Levy, Mitch Unfiltered. Also out last week, a new edition of the Sports Pit with myself, Steve Sandmeyer, and Matt Stretch Johnson, available for Pucks Posse members right now. Also coming out later today, the Graz with Gas Take 5 podcast, up on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Of course, we produce it here at Puck Sports, so that will be available later today. Tomorrow, coming up on the show, Danny Kelly stops on by. Danny's Dimes from The Ringer. We'll talk more NFL, more on the Seahawks. And then John Canzano. So much going on in college football. We'll recap Oregon and Washington. We'll look ahead for the college football playoffs for Oregon. We'll talk about Lane Kiffin, all the movement. We haven't talked to him about Jamarcus Shepard now being hired at Oregon State. His thoughts on Jimmy Rogers' first year as well, coming up tomorrow with John Canzano from johncanzano.com. Also coming out tomorrow, the final regular season stop of Old Crimson with myself, Paul Sorensen, and the go-to guy, Jim Moore. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, we promise to be back.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to song out of anyway.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!